evening, Facebook. It's another episode of Courageous Conversations with Sheree, and I am going to drop this picture so I can see your wonderful faces. Hello, hello, hello. It's actually been a while. I've been tremendously busy doing some wonderful things within my community. And of course, we had Hurricane Irma just last week, and that threw some things back, but we're here today, and I hope you guys have had a fabulous week. It is Friday, Fly Friday, and I have my sister, Dorothy Inez, all the way from California. Hey, Dorothy Inez, how are you? Shout out to Chandra Brooks for making the connection. I love this. We girls stick together for real. We don't just say that, but we really do. I interviewed Chandra a few months back, and she has paid it forward to get another sister's message out. And look at what God has done. He has brought us together. We're super excited about it. Welcome to the platform, Dorothy Inez.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our talk today.
Oh, it's already juicy. I can't wait to jump in. We're talking over ourselves because I've already had to restrain myself a couple of times. Like, don't. Awesome. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, my name is Dorothy Inez. That's Dorothy Inez said together. Please don't call me Dorothy. I made that real clear to Sheree. I'm a personal presence and confidence coach for God-centered women who are ready to show up and shine and do that thing that God is calling them to. I love helping women see who they are and who God is calling them to be and to courageously step into it.
I absolutely love that. You are speaking to my heart. I shared with you earlier. It was like Mary and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And when you started talking, oh my God. And I can tell, Dorothy Inez, that is true. It resonates. It just flows out of your mouth like air. So it must be something really, really special, your passion, your purpose in this life. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? And the topic tonight, I'm going to put that up on the screen, is bring your brilliance. Own the woman God has called you to be. Why don't you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Just hearing it gives me chills, you know. I get so excited about this. I truly believe, as I was telling you before we started this call today, that I believe God has, made us on purpose, with purpose, that we are not here by accident. We are not put here to sit here chilling in front of the TV all day long, looking cute. No, we are here to carry out a mission. We are here to transform lives and make a difference in the world. You and I were talking about the talents, the story of the talents in the scriptures, and how, for me, I had decided that I didn't want to be the one that held on to my talent, that I kept my talent to myself, but I wanted to be one that took her talents and she was fruitful with them, so that when I go before God again, that my offering, my life meant something, that I touched the people that I was called to do, because I stepped out regardless of the fear, regardless of the doubts that I had inside. And was that the question? Did I answer the question? I'm so excited,
We were talking about ebbing and flowing. You just flowed right into it. I won't put the brakes on, so you just go for it.
And so on that, I'll just share really briefly that, for me, my story started back in, I think I was like 38 years old. And listening, like I was telling you, Les Brown was here yesterday and I missed him, but Les Brown was my inspiration. I spent 22 years in call centers, as a manager, as a sales trainer. And when I was a manager, I always show Les Brown's video called "This Is Your Decade," and I was inspiring other people with that video that it was their decade and forgot about my own decade.
Oh, I know all about that.
Yes, yes. You know, we tend to do that as women, right?
Yes.
And one day I heard that for me. I was really unhappy at my job. I had found out that a young white male, 7 years younger than me, was making $7,000 more per year than I was. And I tried to get that fixed and it didn't happen. It was really discouraging. And so I decided, I listened to Les, and Les was like, what dream and vision have you stuffed? You know, what is that thing that's still burning inside of you? And for me, it was to be a makeup artist. And I never tried it. It was risky. My dad didn't believe in it. He wanted me to have the traditional career. So at the age of 40, I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I went to school here in LA and became a professional makeup artist. And this decade, I'm now 50. It's been a decade, and I've been living an amazing life serving women through my gifts as a makeup artist, through my gifts as a woman of inspiration and personal power. It's just been awesome.
Wow. And you're showing up. I can feel it, so I know it's authentic. I love it. It's freedom. You're not stuck. You're out there. You're doing it. Doesn't matter what the age is. And I want to make sure that people heard you. This beautiful lady is 50, almost 51 years old. You are absolutely gorgeous. So I wanted to take a moment and just love on you. You are your own advertisement.
Thank you. And I graduate with my master's here December 9th. So that's going to be it's going to be the beginning of a new decade at 51, because I turn 51 next month. So I'm here to tell you, ladies, your age doesn't matter. You can start living your purpose, your God-given purpose, no matter what your age is. So don't let age be an excuse, girl.
That's it. I'm so glad you're saying that, because you're absolutely right. We were talking about a word earlier about reinventing ourselves or evolving. What does that mean to you?
Evolving to me is always growing. It's forward movement. It's evolution. And, and we should be evolving as women, as human beings, and we should be evolving as souls, constantly growing in our spirituality, our consciousness of God and who He is, and then also growing in our personal development, who we are and our skill sets, always growing, never staying stagnant, so we can be a beneficial presence on this planet.
Now, Dorothy Inez, you speak with such vigor, and I hear the truth and the passion in it, but I'm curious, where did it come from? Like offline, we were talking, I was like, I don't remember having these type of conversations early on, or perhaps I would not have made some of the mistakes that I did. But where does it come from? Where do you attribute what you know now? Where did it come from? Did you have a mentor? Now, of course, Les Brown is awesome, but Les is a man. So was it a woman in your life or anything else?
No, I'm going to tell you, just take you back 50 years. So, I was abandoned at the age of 3.5 by my birth mother.
Really?
My birth mother put my brother and I in an orphanage. And that left me honestly feeling, can you imagine your mom leaves you? We hear of dads leaving all the time, but your mom, so, you have a message inside that something's wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. Mm-hmm. And so I dealt with that my whole life. And then when my father married my mom, the woman I call my mom who raised me, married her. He and I had some trepidation. It was a tumultuous relationship, even up until today. And I had to almost take my own, like teach my own self. I will tell you my biggest influences, and you might laugh, but is Prince.
I did laugh. Well,
Prince. Prince was instrumental. If you follow me, people who follow me know how much I love him. He was instrumental in my sexuality, my spiritual growth, my artistry, and then also my grandmother, who was a leader, an entrepreneur, and she loved the Lord. There was her, and then there was me, this constant, need to be accepted, to be loved, drove me. It is like I was so driven to learn and to be the best, because I wanted to be noticed. I wanted to be loved. And that was the only way I felt like my dad was going to see me. Because those things were so important to my father. And so that's where I believe I'm very much my father's daughter. I'm very much like him, my attitude and everything. I keep feeling like I have this piece of dust on my nose. Every time I feel it. That's why you keep seeing me do this. Sorry, totally off topic, everyone. But you're like, what the heck is wrong with that lady?
I didn't even notice, quite honest.
I'm like, what? So
this is a live show, by the way. So hey, everything goes.
We can't edit this out, but that's where it came from. I had the influence of my grandmother and my father, who are very strong individuals and very driven, and so I feel like I was like born a leader, being the oldest child too. So. But yeah, I think who I have become has been out of a desire to make my dad proud of me. Even to this day, I'm like, I'm like, Dad, are you proud? Are you excited? It's like there's this little need in me
I know. I can relate. I'm a daddy's girl, by the way. I am. Yes, and he can walk into the room and I become 12 all over again. Why 12? I don't know, but I do. And so I understand. I get it yet again. I get it.
So I see my dad. I'm like, hi, Dad. How you doing?
So listen, why are you now so passionate about helping women with their confidence and personal presence? And that's powerful to me, but I'm going to let you answer and then we'll come back to that question.
I am passionate about that because, again, it goes back, I feel like God uses our mess and turns that into our message. We've all heard that saying, And so that's why I believe that there's not one thing that we go through that's not for a purpose. Everything is happening for you, not to you. Okay.
Right.
And so everything that happened, my birth mother abandoning me and, constantly feeling rejected throughout my teens by my stepmom, spending so much time in my room on punishment. I learned how to put on a mask.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm talking about? Is that people would see me, and first of all, and I say this still with humility, but it's I know that I'm an attractive woman and I'm okay owning that, because a lot of us want to not own our beauty. And I think we need to step up and own our beauty, because we were created by the most beautiful one, our creator. God said that we are a masterpiece, and we need to own that. And so, but I was using it more of the external. So on the outside, this is when, you and I talked about, I used to be known as the minister of beauty. And a lot of that came from, in the first parts of my journey, was the outside was beautiful, but the inside was ugly. I wasn't.
Just
it was a hot mess,
Yeah, hot mess. I know about that too.
And I would try to act like I was so confident, but behind the scenes, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
You know, I was always doubting myself as a leader. And as a leader, I could use power to, you know, make it look like I was confident. I could walk with my shoulder, because, you know, shoulder pads were in back then. My shoulder pads and, you know, look confident, but really I wasn't. And it wasn't until my husband, he was deployed back in 2009 or so to Iraq. And for the first time ever in my life, I couldn't fill that void with a man. I had to be with me. And that was the hardest thing to do. I was in Savannah, Georgia.
What?
And
you're kidding.
I was down there by you. Savannah, Georgia. And my husband left. I had no friends there. And I was working at MAC Cosmetics. That's only people I knew. And I'd come home and I'd be alone. And I would be alone with my thoughts that said, you're not good enough. You're not good. You're not good. Exactly.
Wow.
And I cried. I found myself, this is what I call my nervous breakthrough, because I cried for probably 8 hours that day, just in a ball, crying out for my mom, my grandma, not my mom, my grandma, crying out for my dad. And after so much crying, you get to the point where you have no more tears to cry. I got up, dusted my shoulders off, and I was like, you got it all out. You're hiring a coach. And I hired my first coach in 2010, and she was a self-love coach. And that's how I got started on this journey. When I learned to love myself and who God created me to be, this is what I want to impart to other women. I want other women to fall in love with the woman that God has created them to be, and have the confidence, because you can't love her. So, you know, you can love her, but it's hard to step out and own her when you don't have the confidence to do it.
Dorothy, I got to stop you. Listen, thank you guys, for girls especially, for watching this show. You, oh my God, are giving me goosies all over. You are speaking to my heart. Ladies, this message is for you. This is all about empowering you and us owning our stuff. I'm going to quote one of your favorite mentors, Les Brown, because he says, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. That means he owns everything. And I often quote Clint Eastwood that says the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Yep. And we have to own all of it and be confident and have that personal presence, that power that you were talking about, even in the midst of the things that we didn't like, because all of it, as we were sharing earlier, works together for our good. But we don't have to feel bad because of what chapter 14 was, or chapter 16 was, or chapter 21 was, or just whatever your last birthday was. We don't have to feel bad if that was a loss of a family member or a loved one, or a divorce, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it was. It's important, not that it doesn't matter. It does matter, but not to alienate yourself or stop showing up and being great. Stop playing small. Do you boo? That's what I want to say.
Exactly. Do you boo? There you go.
It's okay. It's really okay. So I just wanted to interrupt you quickly. And I had to write down I used to say nervous breakdown. You said nervous breakthrough. So BOL, had a breakthrough out loud with that.
Yeah. I mean, we just have to own it. Because, you know, like I said, nothing's happening to you. It's happening for you. That divorce you went through, that bad relationship, that abuse, everything. You look at people like, it's all part of what makes you who you are today. Yeah. Do we like it when we're going through it? No. But without it, you wouldn't have the story you have today. You wouldn't be able to relate to the people that you need to relate to accomplish your mission and purpose on this planet.
That's it. Absolutely. And it's all about, as you said again, borrowing from your words, perspective.
Mm-hmm. It's all about perspective. You can choose to be the victim or you can choose to be the victor. Which one will you choose? That's every moment boils down. Every moment is a choice. What are you going to choose today, girlfriend? That's what I say. Yeah. And sometimes it's okay to choose to be the victim. Just don't stay there. Just like that, I was laying there crying. Sometimes we need to go through the victim to get to the victor mode.
Well, you got to cleanse. It's a cleansing process. It's part of the processing. And I think that was your point of cleansing at the time. It's like having a tantrum. Well, have the tantrum, but again, get up. Just don't stay and wallow in it. And it's really okay. No shade, no judgment in that. It's just identification that, that's part of the process. We're certainly human. And I've been there talking about being in a dark place and feeling like you're never going to get out. The thing with being in the tunnel is when you get out, you don't really realize when you got out. You're out, but you're out. Right. And so I celebrate that as well. So what do you think hold women back from being all that God created them to be?
Girl, I wrote a list here. Let me get for my list because I didn't want to forget one thing. First of all, is lack of confidence. Not knowing who you are, not being courageous. The past, being stuck in what somebody said about you and letting that be your identity at 50 years old. Somebody said something at 4 and here you are at 50 still stuck in that. And that's why it's so important to know who you are and who God says that you are. Because what man says doesn't matter. What matters is who does God say that you are?
Or allow other people to hold you in your past.
That's right. Yeah. And our family members are really good at that. Our family, no matter how much growth you have gone through, you come back to your family of origin and all of a sudden you're back in that dynamic. And then you find yourself acting crazy. You're like, what? I thought I was over this. You're exactly right. And then there's that fear and there's doubt. Fear, the opposite of fear is love. What is love? Love is God. This is why we have to be in our God place, because wherever love is, fear cannot abide.
That's right. Love casts out all fear. That's right. Amen.
Doubt, negative self-talk, the person that talks to you the most is you.
That's right.
Why it is so important what you allow through your ear gates, your eye gates, what you're listening to. I'm always filling up on, motivate. Go to YouTube, start listening to motivational YouTube things. I don't want to give you any solutions. Let me hold on. So negative self-talk, self-love and appreciation, the lack of it. The lack of self-love and appreciation for who you are, the lack of knowing who you are. And here's the other thing that I see huge with women is the inability or the unwillingness to invest in your own personal growth. They will invest.
Why do you think they hang up on that? Why do you think they won't spend money on it? I think some people just think that I'm not giving my money to someone else, not realizing that may be the source of whatever the disconnect is in their own life. I don't know. What do you think the hangups are with that?
I think a lot of it comes from, and I'm going to reflect on what it was for me. Okay.
Right.
And when I talk to women, I hear it reflected back, the women who do coach with me. A lot of it has to do with your confidence in terms of when this coach calls me forth, am I going to be able to step into it? So there's the fear of failure, the fear that they're going to fail at whatever it is. So why invest in something? Because it's just going to be a waste. I can't do it. She's going to want me to do this or that. So a big part of it is fear of failure. And also, I think the other piece is the feeling like they're not worthy, that they're not worthy to, because really what I charge is not about, it's about me and you investing in me, and really it's about you investing in yourself. It's about, do you think you are whatever it is that person's charging? If it's $500, are you worth $500? Are you 1,000? So because when I first became a coach, I used to be so hung up. I'm like, oh my God, so-and-so, won't pay me. And I was making it about me. But what I found out is it's not about me. It's about whether or not that woman thinks she's worth that investment.
That's it. That's true.
And so we need to learn to invest in ourselves, because we're quick to invest in our kids. We'll buy them the $200 pair of sneakers and we'll buy ourselves the $20 pair, We'll get the kid the iPhone. We'll get the flip phone. There's so many things we're willing to do for others that we won't do for ourselves.
Right.
What women have to understand is, especially if you have daughters, because even though you're not saying to your daughter, put yourself last, she's watching you put yourself last. And then she does the same thing. So
thankfully, I don't have that problem. No, ma'am.
But we see that so often with women. And, and I tell women oftentimes, I said, so if your child or your husband or somebody you loved was being held ransom for $10,000 and you needed that $10,000 or $1 million by midnight, that person was going to be killed, would you find that money?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, you would find that money. But when it comes to you, you say, I don't have the money. I can't do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. You have to know that you are just as important as that child, as that husband, as that parent, whoever that loved one is. You have to know that you are just as valuable.
Right. That's right. That's right. And you'll be surprised how the resources show up. But again, it's about being in proper alignment too with how you think, because as a man thinking, so is he. But if you think you can't, you won't. But if you think you can, where there is a will, there certainly is a way. That is the absolute truth, for real.
Yes.
Wow. Did you have any more?
No, that was it. I thought that was a long enough list.
No, that was great, actually. That's enough to get them started. And I did hear you say that you coach. I do want to put this plug in really, really quick. Dorothy Inez actually coaches women on healing from the inside out, as well as your confidence and owning your personal presence. So listen, I know that's a mouthful, but you want to be in touch with her, and we'll list her contact information after the broadcast. But I'm going to jump right into the next question. Question. I'm so excited. I'm talking so fast. Okay. Why is it important that women develop confidence and presence?
I've talked about it some. But what it boils down to, the reason it's important to develop that is, number one, is because you're called here for a purpose, for a legacy. You're to leave a legacy. Without that confidence, without that, to me, personal presence, because I didn't explain that too much. What is personal presence? Personal presence is how you show up. It's the energy you bring to a room. That's it.
Wait a minute. Let me jump in. Please let me jump in. I was on a panel a few weeks ago, and I said this. I just felt inspired to say this. I wasn't planned. That your energy speaks for you before you ever open your mouth.
Exactly. That is exactly right. Your energy, your style. People don't understand that clothing how you show up is a form of nonverbal communication.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So how you show up is speaking to your values. It's speaking to the quality of work that you do. If you come in looking raggedy,
yes,
you talking about you're a millionaire.
No, ma'am.
At you, yeah. I'm like, no, boo, no. And I always tell this story of a woman who I was at a conference, and she was telling me she was a six-figure mindset coach, and she was going to help me make, my first million. Now I'm looking at her, and she's wearing a 1980s perm. She's got this long Little House on the Prairie dress, and I'm not saying she could have very well been a millionaire, but the first impression did not align. And so what comes out of this mouth and how you show up should always be in alignment. And so
now, one of my mentors is Lisa Nichols with Motivating the Masses. And when you said that made me think of something she says about your tongue and your mouth and your tongue and your shoe going in two different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not judgment, it's just identification. You wasn't judging this young lady, but she was offering you a service, but then you're like doing the math, like, why would I buy that?
Yeah, the message, because what it's communicating, what we have to, again, understand is it's not a judgment about who you are as a person. Is the message aligning with how you show up? Just like everything we buy is like this. If you go and you're buying a phone, you're going to look at, first thing that attracts you is how this phone looks. If you like pink phones, you're into, oh my God, I want this pink phone. Then you care about all the components and all of that, the inside, all of that. With us, we're looking at the outside first. When we walk into a room, we're all guilty of scanning the room and seeing who we want to, So is your body language aligned with who you are? Are you smiling? Is your body language open and welcoming? Is your style in alignment? If you say you're a six-figure coach, am I looking at your jewelry and am I seeing the copper coming through? Because if you're six figures, I shouldn't see cheap, copper coming through on your jewelry. These are things that people notice. You don't take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of me as a client?
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing right there. You just hit the nail on the head. If you're not taking care of yourself, why would I even allow you the opportunity to attempt to take care of me?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So this is why, developing your confidence, developing your presence, because these are things that the average person is not going to teach you. When I was interviewing in corporate, I interviewed 11 times to become a sales trainer. At that time, I wore braids in my hair. I was by night, I was in the music industry, so I've always been very creative. I love wearing different hair, and they kept declining me. I'd show up in there in my suit and my braids pulled back, all cute. Then one day, after the 11th interview, my manager said to me, Inez, at the time I just went by Inez. And he's like, Inez, do you want to know why you aren't getting the job? If I tell you, you have to keep it to yourself. I said, of course I want to know why. I want this job. He goes, it's the way that you look. How you are on the floor during your regular day and how you look does not align with the woman that they see that shows up for that one interview.
Wow.
So I was missing out over 2 years of interviewing.
11 interviews.
11. I finally got it on the 12th because somebody had the courage to tell me the truth. And that's the kind of things when you have a coach who knows this kind of stuff, that these are the kinds of truths that you're going to get that you're not going to get out there. You're just going to wonder, why did that person walk away? Well, your business card. You said you're six figures, but your business card was cheap. You said you're six figures, but your personal image doesn't align with it. The quality of your work, you're sending me stuff with punctuation errors. All of these things are part of your personal brand. And then you have to have the confidence to step out and do things. Because as entrepreneurs, you know, we have to be fearless sometimes, at least.
You have to literally be on all the time.
Yeah. And you have to be courageous, but it takes confidence to be fearless, to be courageous, to step out.
To get to be seen and to be heard. Most people want to be heard, but most people shrink. They play small. So, which is an excellent segue into my next questions. What are women missing out on when they continue, keyword, to play small?
Continue.
And what do you mean? What does playing small really mean to you?
Playing small to me means when you're in procrastination, when you are, you should be doing live videos, for instance, and you're not showing up live because you're making the videos about you rather than the videos being about the people that you're called to serve. That's playing small. Not speaking your truth is playing
so good. Yes.
Keeping it inside because you don't want to offend people. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. Well, you know what? Sometimes people's feelings are going to get hurt. You can always deliver your message in a kind way, but you can't help if people's feelings get hurt. That's on them.
Yeah.
So, and being stuck in excuses, being stuck, like we talked about, all these things in the past, letting your negative self-talk run the show rather than the God in you running the show. This is why it's so important to know who you are in God. I cannot stress that enough, to know who you are in God, because it's through the power of the Holy Spirit in you that you're able to have that boldness. You're able to have that power.
Yes.
Things in His strength, not your strength.
That's right.
You miss out on a lot. You miss out on opportunities, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You go to networking events, and because you're scared, you're sitting back in the corner and you're missing out on opportunities for strategic partnerships. You're missing out on potential clients. You're missing out on potential best friends. You're missing out on mentors. There's so much you miss out on. You miss out on enjoying life because you're always scared. You miss out on knowing. Imagine had I not stepped into my dream, 10 years ago, I'd still be working in a call center wondering, what would it have been like to be a successful makeup artist? Well, now I can tell you what it's like to work a runway show, to work television stuff, to do video. I can tell you now because I did it.
Right. Wow. And actually, you've done both. You did the call center thing too. So we're not minimizing that. That's part of your pedigree now. You did that, but that wasn't the end of the road for you. You had more to do, as we both still have more to do. But you were speaking about courage, and because the name of the platform is Courageous Conversations with Sheree, I wanted to really touch on that. What does it mean to be courageous? It's not the absence of fear. It's just doing it anyway, even with that fear still there. And so I don't want anyone to be confused by that. No, that means rolling up your sleeves, pulling up your own bootstraps, and getting out there anyway. Because again, it's not about us. We're paying it. We're doing what we're here to do. And you were sharing earlier about transforming lives. And I had another guest that said in order to be the cure, you had to first be affected. It's almost like a snake in the venom. You get bit by a snake, you use that same venom to heal someone. And likewise, so we've been impacted by the things that we share and are so passionate about now. And that's why it comes through so clear because of the transparency, because of the genuineness, because of the truth that's in it. And truth doesn't need defending. You were talking about people being uncomfortable with your truth. That's not my problem. That's not your problem. That's really their problem. And it shouldn't be anybody's problem, because the truth is the truth all by itself. But I had to get to a point, Dorothy Inez, where I had to become comfortable of other people being, I had to become comfortable with other people being uncomfortable with my truth.
Yes.
I had to do that, because for the longest time, I was on mute to make someone else feel big. That did make me sick. Literally. I had 2 major surgeries almost a year apart, and I didn't get it, but I ended up having to go to therapy because I was suppressing so much of my own truth. And I ended up doing that and needed to really just, discuss it, just talk it all out. It was in a safe space. And I did, and that was the root cause of it all. And so now it's morphed into so many other outlets for me to share. But I understand this is not about Sheree, because I've already shared my truth. And guess what other people are doing now? They're getting bold, unashamed, and unapologetic, and they're sharing theirs. And that's what it's all about. We need to be free. There's enough coming at us in this life.
And that's what attracts people to you. The more you share your truth, like my pastor always says, your vibe attracts your tribe. You will attract the people that resonate with you. And, and it just makes life more rich for you and them.
It truly does.
Yeah, because you're like, oh my God, it's like I'm talking to my twin, somebody who understands me.
They get it.
Yes. So it's an awesome experience to just be authentic. And if you're an entrepreneur, I encourage you to be authentic, because many of us were raised, to keep things a secret. There still are some things you want to keep to yourself, but the more you can share your journey with your followers, especially through platforms like this gives you an opportunity to really connect with people through your story, and they get to see your animations. They get to see who you really are and watch you grow and evolve. So this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, another thing Lisa says is that so many people, after she started sharing her truth about her experience with having less than $20 in the account, and Jaylani being wrapped in a towel, she didn't have enough money to buy him Pampers. When she shared that immediately resonated with other people, because everybody knows struggle or hard time. And so they could identify and see the human side of her. But when she said that, it also spoke to me as well and where I was. And so I again started sharing my truth. And again, it's just been a domino since then. So that's what this platform is about. I want to make it really, really clear to those that are out there that this is truly not about me sharing my story. I'm just a hostess here. And I truly, truly feel privileged and honored to actually have an opportunity to hear so many of your stories. So I want to honor you, Dorothy Inez, with taking a few minutes to share parts of your journey with us. It's so important. Your story matters. It really matters. It matters to me. It matters to those lives that you're impacting and will continue to impact. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So where do you think confidence comes from? Where does confidence come from? Where does it originate? And are people born with it, or can it be developed?
Well, confidence comes from, I've mentioned it. I let the cat out of the bag earlier. In my book, confidence comes from knowing who you are. It comes from knowing, again, for me, everything is grounded in God, for me as a Christian, in Christ, for spiritual people, in God. Who does God say that you are? And really owning that truth. And it's from that truth that I'm able to own that I believe I'm beautiful, that I'm smart, that I am lovely, that I am, all the I ams that I have come to replace those negative things that I've said about myself. I can no longer say those, because what I've learned is when we criticize the creation, we criticize the creator.
Ooh, that's good. That's a tweetable moment. I feel like Oprah.
yeah, tweetable.
Say that again. When what? When we criticize
the creation, we criticize the creator. You know, because God lives in me and he walks on this earth in, through, as me. And so and he says in Ephesians 2:10 that I'm his masterpiece. So when he looks upon me and he sees, and he steps back and he goes, yes, it is good. This is my masterpiece. This is my one of a kind, unique creation. And so once you get that truth down in your bones, in your spirit, then you will see something begin to bubble up within you, because now your spirit is coming alive, and that's where true confidence comes from. Because it starts with you knowing who you are. The second place it comes from is from having a variety of experiences in life that help boost that confidence. Successes, small, they don't have to be large. It could be an accumulation of small successes.
Yeah, and failure.
Say again?
Sorry, and failures. Failures. Yes,
that's all part of the journey. And, you know, I told you I'm working on my master's thesis right now. And my master's thesis is I am studying confidence in women entrepreneurs and the things that impact confidence in women entrepreneurs. And one of the things that they talk about is, you know, is the importance of having these experiences, these things that, you know, the failures, but small ones that you get up, you fail, but you keep going until you have those successes. And it was also talking about whether or not we were born with confidence. And studies are showing that there is a degree, that there are some traits based on some studies that some people are born with it. However, confidence can be developed, because studies are showing that there's different degrees of confidence. So to answer the question, yes, some people are born with it, but you can also develop it.
Okay. So listen, earlier you were speaking about how you attribute a lot of who you have become to God, and having a spiritual relationship. I want you to, if you don't mind, speak to those that are watching, because when we were speaking earlier, we're talking about women and their self-worth, and how you reach to both those Christians or those that are church as well as those that are not church. So I really want you to really focus in on those that don't currently have a personal relationship with God, perhaps don't go to church, but still deal with feeling unworthy or lacking confidence. What would you say to any of those that are watching?
I'm listening.
Yes, good. Shows the leader in you.
So you're saying, what would I say to the woman? So for women who, let me clarify before I answer. Are you saying, what would I say to women that they don't believe in God, that are listening?
Right. They don't currently have a relationship with God, may not go to church, but they're still women and they still struggle with feeling unworthy or lacking confidence. They're just a woman, but they don't know God personally.
Yeah. And, you know, and I hate to even say that they don't know God personally, because I really, truly believe, and this is a little, you know, this is why I always say I'm not the standard Christian, is I believe because God created each and every woman, every man, in every religion. That's why I don't keep myself in a box of who I serve. And I believe that the most important thing a woman can do, whether she believes in God or not, is to know herself, is to get to know who she is as a woman, to take the time to, one of the things I love doing with my clients is self-assessments. So things like Myers-Briggs, things like the Strengths Finder, these are assessments that you can take that help you dig into who you are. And you don't have to go to church to have a relationship with God. You know, the scriptures tell us wherever two or more are gathered, you know, God's there, because you're showing up. The God in you is showing up, and the God in me is showing up. So we're showing up for each other. So the more that you can connect with other women, whether you're talking about God or not, aligning yourself with another woman that sees the greatness within you is another way to develop your confidence, is to be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. So what I've said is, number one is getting to know yourself. Going, you know, journaling. Journaling is so powerful. Letting your feelings out, getting a coach, a life coach. You know, if you don't know who you are, a life coach can ask you some really deep, profound questions that help you kind of navigate to the question of, who am I?
Yes.
Who am I? And then, like I said, asking friends. This is one of the things I did at the beginning of my journey, is I asked friends, who am I to you? How do I show up to you? Because how you see yourself may not be the way others see you. And that gives insights into who you're being, good and bad. You don't want to just hear the good stuff, but the bad stuff, the bad, and I put that in parentheses because there's nothing bad about you. It's just that you develop. You just need development in that area. Like me, I used to really struggle with anger. And it pops up every now and then, and I'm real bossy and controlling, pops up every now and then. But I'm so blessed that the people who are around me can call that out in me with love, because I know who I am.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. Because when you don't know who you are and somebody tells you you're being bossy, you take offense to it because you don't know who you are, because you think, no, I'm not. No, boo. Yes, you are. You know?
And you know what? It helps when you have a relationship with those people too, which is why your family and friends are so important, as well as a coach. I would say that is so important as well. This was actually good. You just actually answered our last question, which was, what are some things women can do to increase their confidence and personal presence? So that was an excellent segue, and I didn't realize it. But anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I do want to say, though, just to finish up with that last question, for women who aren't not spiritual, but women who feel like they don't have a relationship, I want to say something about that. Is your relationship is your relationship with God. It is very unique. And just because yours doesn't look like Sally's next door or Susie's down the street, doesn't mean that you don't have a relationship with God. Let your relationship with God be just as unique as you are. So if that's time, that means your time with him is sitting in the shower and you and him talk and you sing some songs, or you just meditating on him, or it's picking up a book. You know, you picking up, like I have this one book, I love it. It's called Voice of the Master. And this is a really great book that you can just read it, and just journal about it. So, you know, don't be afraid or criticize yourself because yours doesn't look like mine. Yours is yours. And I just want to invite you to step out and get to know God, because he's always there. You just have to say, are you listening? You know?
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You're right. That was being outside of the box again. I love that about you. So with that,
I just want to encourage them. But
Well, with that being said, I want to end today's broadcast a little different than I normally do, and I think it's a perfect segue. He just leads and guides me through these, so that no two are the same. But as you were speaking, you were talking about who are you, and knowing who you are. And so I want you, in the beginning, you told us about what you do. But as we wrap up, and I'm doing this strategically so that others know how to do it as well, and that they can purposely start showing up and stop playing small, so that they can start playing bigger. Right. So who is Dorothy Inez? Who are you?
I am creative. I am courage. And I am courageous. I am beauty, and I am beautiful. I am influence, and I am an influencer. I am impact. I am love, and I am loved.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And you are clear about who you are. So I celebrate you, my sister. Thank you so much for joining me on this platform of Courageous Conversations with Sheree. We're going to bring this particular episode to an end. If you're watching the replay, I want to just love on you and thank you, but also encourage you that you would show up and that you would be bold, unapologetic, and unashamed and tell your story. Someone needs to hear it. We love you. Have a beautiful weekend. We're going to bring this particular episode to an end. Goodbye.